Mr. Snyder here with the 8th tutorial for Audacity. In the last tutorial, I had you place all of your audio clips in order that they're heard in the commercial. And how do we know what the order is? We always have to reference our script. Script is always written before you try to do a commercial, obviously, because you need to know what you're going to say. You have to have a plan. So there's the order of our lines of script. If you look here in the middle, we've got male and a male back to back. So it's not always male, female, male, male, female, male, female. So it's staggered. So what's that look like on our timeline? Well, there you go. Male, female, male, female, male, male, female. So you really need to reference the script. Now, if you look at the end of this radio commercial where we are so far, that's where we have to really focus our attention right now. You'll notice a couple things. First of all, you'll notice that we have this last line of the commercial called the tagline. Let me show it to you here. Tagline is Uber Eats, fast food without the accidents. Not a brilliant tagline, I'm going to tell you right now. It's the purpose of a tagline is to leave your listener with that sort of memorable thought about your product in your commercial. In this case, we're advertising Uber Eats as a total concept. Okay, I don't really like this tagline because it talks about without the accidents. Accidents is a negative word, even though we say without the accidents. So I wrote this. I've got better versions, but I just wanted to leave this one there because you're going to rewrite this tagline for your own version of this commercial once you revoice it. Okay, so this is the tagline right here, the last line, the memorable line that you leave your listeners with. So if you look here on the end of our commercial, go to my selection tool. I'm going to play this last clip at the top. It's the male voice.
Uber Eats, fast food without the accidents.
Hey, there's one version of it, but I gave you two versions to decide between. I'm just going to move it over a bit. Here's the female version.
Uber Eats, fast food without the accidents.
So as the producer of the radio commercial, you can decide which of these two tagline versions you want to use, the male voice or the female voice. I chose the female voice simply because we end the commercial on the clip before with the male voice. So I wanted to have a bit of contrast with the tagline by bringing in the female voice. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it here. I'm going to play it.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats, fast food without the accidents.
Okay, so that's one choice you're going to make is which of these two taglines do you want to use? I'm going to use the female one. I'm going to take the male one. Now here's the thing. You can use the time shift tool. You don't have to actually use the selection tool to select clips and go back and forth like this. A quicker way is, frankly, just go to your time shift, click, and then you're dragging the whole clip. Okay, so you can do that as you make adjustments now. There's always more than one way to do anything pretty much in any editing program. So I've got my female tagline in. Everything's great, right? Well, look at the problem. Here's 30 seconds. The end of my commercial must happen before 30 seconds. And if you look straight down, it's longer than 30. So I'm going to take my selection tool and I'm going to click just before 30 and then watch down here. It'll tell me where I am in time on the timeline. So watch, I'm going to click there and it's 29.9. So I'm under 30 seconds. If I clicked over here, I'm 30.8. Too long, it'll be rejected. If I click over here, it's really short, 28.8. You don't want that because you're paying for 30. You want to use 30. So I'm going to click right there. 29.5 is good. Okay, so my commercial is going to end at 29.5. Maybe I can get it even closer to 30. There, 29.7 is good. My tagline, which is the last line of the commercial, the music and all the sound effects must be finished at this point. 30 seconds. You cannot go over 30 seconds. That's a big part of this challenge, to be honest, because if you are over 30 seconds, a radio station will reject your commercial. They'll say it's too long. You got to take it back, re-edit it, and send it back to us. Okay, so now what are we going to do? I'm going to take my time shift tool. I've got my point marked where I want this commercial to end. It's under 30 seconds. And I'm going to just move that tagline. I'm going to take the tagline. I'm going to actually move this one out of the way too. I'm going to take my tagline and I'm going to make sure the end of my tagline ends at that point or just slightly before. Going to play this. Okay, now I'm going to mute the male clip. I'm going to play this.
Uber Eats. Fast food without the accidents.
Pause. Where am I? I'm just under 30 seconds. Okay, so that's good. I've positioned my tagline now where it needs to end. And I'm not going to move it now. No matter what, that's staying there. So look at the problem it's created now with all my other clips. If I go and start to play some things.
A Band-Aid and check the bacon.
Fire!
I'm
Uber
thinking
Eats.
the
See, it's messed up the timing of the rest of my commercial. So although I've got everything in the order I need it to be in right now, what I need to do now is start to make adjustments in the timing of where my clips are heard so that nothing overlaps each other. Now, let's go to the start. We talked a little bit about this in the previous tutorial.
Here, I'm making dinner tonight.
Oh no.
And I've got a bit of a pause there. Now look, I'm getting into a time crunch here. Everything now needs to be moved closer. So I'm going to get rid of that little pause. Now, if you look carefully as you drag with your time shift tool, see how that yellow line appears? That's telling me that the end of this clip is lined up with the beginning of this clip. But if you look at this clip here, you can see I do have a little bit of space there where there's no sound. So I'm going to just move it over a bit, and I'm going to listen now to that first two clips.
Oh dear, I'm making dinner tonight.
Oh no, really?
That still sounds natural. I've moved it a bit closer. See if I can push it even more. Just move it to left a little more and let's see how it sounds.
Here, I'm making dinner tonight.
Oh no, really?
Hey, that still sounds pretty natural. So I'm going to leave it there. I've closed up some space by moving this left, and it's going to be just little bits at a time because originally this commercial was about 1.5 seconds too long. Okay, so I have to gain about 1.5 seconds in this whole commercial. Now let's go to the next line. So time shift tool, again, see there's the end. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to almost overlap, but not quite. Let's see what it sounds like.
Really? What are you making?
Bacon and tomato sandwiches.
That actually sounds pretty good because I know I need to tighten things up. So I'm going to work all the way through my timeline so that by the time I get down to the tagline, let me just move all these male clips over. Okay. That this male clip here will not overlap the tagline. You can't have something overlapping the tagline. So really, I'm kind of working backwards now. You may not have to work completely backwards. Let's see if this clip now for the male is where it needs to be.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats.
It's a little too tight, especially for the tagline, because the tagline kind of has to stand out on its own. So I'm going to move this voice clip a little left, the male. Play it.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats.
Still a little bit tight. Okay, let's try that. And it's going to be back and forth.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats. Fast food without the accidents.
Nice. That's a nice pace. So I'm going to say that these two last clips are where they need to be. Everything else in this commercial needs to fit before this, and it needs to sound natural. Now, I showed you one way to make up time along your timeline is simply by moving clips a little bit tighter. Where the end of one clip the end of one clip ends, you're going to take and line up the start of the other clip so that you get rid of some of those pauses. Another area where we can probably get rid of some of the pauses, do you see it? If you look at the commercial, you'll see that these voice clips, some of them have natural pauses in between. I could take my selection tool and let's first, before I do that, let me play this for you.
Hiya! Oh!
Okay, now that's a sound effect one. So let me actually go to dialogue. Okay, there's a pause in dialogue. Let me play this one.
Just
Uber
ordered dinner
Eats?
from Uber Eats.
Oops, let me mute the female.
Uber Eats? I've got
Hear that pause? I've got this.
Uber Eats? I've got.
So what I could do is take that little bit of pause out. Okay, highlight the area that you want to select, delete it, and see how it's moved closer. Now there'll be less of a pause.
Uber Eats? I've got this.
Good, it still sounds natural. Can I take a little more out? Let's see. Delete.
Uber Eats? I've got this.
That sounds perfectly natural, and I've gotten rid of some of the gap between those two lines. So that would work. So you've got various places. Look, we've got another one down here in the female voice. I'll let you decide where you're going to make up that time. You've got to bring it to time. That's what it's called. You got to bring this to 30 seconds or bring it to time. And that's the goal. So there's 30, just under 30. I could actually bring this tagline over a bit more like so. I've gained a bit of more space, time. And I can bring this one over a bit. Let's play those now. All I did was zoom in to really see the exact positioning of my tagline.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats. Fast food without the accident.
Okay. And then Uber Eats, fast food. I could take this out. There's a bit of a pause there. Okay. Let's play that. So you can take some pauses out in the script as it's being performed.
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats. Fast food without the accidents.
And I could even take one out there. So that's another way that not only moving things around, but also you can take out pauses that might be in your script along the way. There is one more way that we can do it, and that's by looking at the script itself and saying, oh, do I really need that particular phrase or sentence in the commercial? So let me give you an example. This section here, I think it says blood.
Oh, blood!
Get me a Band-Aid and check the bacon!
Okay, that's a little confusing because, let me move over fire. Okay, so we're trying to convey the sense of urgency here.
Ah!
Blood!
Okay, so blood can be moved. If we're going to keep it, it can be moved much tighter.
Ah!
Blood!
Get me a...
Okay, and then we can move over this thing about get me a Band-Aid. So now we're really starting to tighten things up.
Ah!
Blood!
Get me a Band-Aid and check...
And the reason the pacing works here, that it's so tight together, is because it's a sense of urgency, so we want a faster pace of the voices. Let me just zoom out a bit here. Okay, so that's another thing. Now I've got a big gap here. So everything here, I could take all three. Look, if I use my selection tool, and if I select down, look, I'm selecting clips on both tracks now. I can take those three clips, selection tool, move them all over. Now I did grab a little bit of this other clip. You have to be careful. I've now moved it. So make sure you don't do that. So if you prefer to just do one track at a time, because you're getting used to this, that's fine.
Get me a Band-Aid and check the bacon!
Fire!
Okay, way too big of a gap. So move this over.
Get me a Band-Aid and check the bacon!
Fire!
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats.
I'm going to move this, thinking the bacon's done. I'm going to move it left a bit and leave a bit more space between this line here and the line about the tagline, because this one does kind of need to stand on its own. And now this here where it says fire is kind of a sense of urgency, and it's jammed in between the two male voices.
Get me a Band-Aid and check the bacon!
Fire!
I'm thinking the bacon's done.
Uber Eats. Fast food without the accidents.
Again, if I take my play bar, it's under 30. You can see that I could even move the tagline over more. So bringing your commercial in on time is critical. That's a big part of this project. Now you notice things are a problem right now. I see I've got overlapping voice clips here. So you're really going to have to sort of go back and forth and back and forth. The other way is if I have this line here and it says blood. What happens if I say, you know what, I'm really jammed for time, I can't bring it under 30, and that blood line is in between two male clips?
Ah!
Blood!
Get me a Band-Aid and check...
So what if I were to just go and select the line blood, delete it, and now look what I can do. I can move the two male voices much closer.
Ah! Get me a Band-Aid and check the bacon!
Fire!
Okay, and then I would move fire over. Okay, so you can see how you're going to have to manipulate your timeline, either taking pauses out. I took one whole line of the script out. Not the best first place to start because really it's not your script to change. But in this case, that just may be the answer. In fact, I think the final version of the commercial I gave you, I did take one of those two lines out, either blood or fire. Okay, so that's your next job. Get this commercial and bring it in under 30 seconds. Place your tagline, the final line of the script, male or female. Place it so that it is under 30 seconds. There we go. Oh, I'm over 30. Under 30 seconds. Move it into place. That's kind of your stopping point for everything. Everything before it needs to come up to this tagline so that it all ends at 30 seconds. Okay, good luck. It's going to be back and forth, and it's not going to be a fast process. It's going to take a lot of really finessing, but that's really what editing is now. Now you're getting into the real heart of editing, where you're making the script work within the time frame that you're given, and it still has to sound natural. Okay, good luck. See you in the next tutorial.